Livestream is your premier place to watch live events on the web, mobile devices, and connected TVs. See new events daily or broadcast your own at livestream.com. Livestream. Be there.
Welcome to Let's Bet. I'm your host, Scott Pritchard. Let's Bet is about sports betting, sides, totals, money lines. I've been betting sports professionally full-time for 30 years. I'm going to show you how I do it. It's been an exciting week at the Vegas Video Network. Last week we celebrated our one-year anniversary. Woo! No one had more fun than my co-host, Jacob Cannon.
Still feeling a couple of effects out of that. Some of those shots were a bit strong.
Can't wait for next year's big party. So we'll be checking back with Jacob a little bit later on in the show. To reach out to us, a couple of things that you can do. Email us at letsbet@vegasvideonetwork.com. That's letsbet@vegasvideonetwork.com. You can also reach out to the listener comment question line, 866-966-4599. That's 866-966-4599. Now let's get started. First of all, before we get to this weekend's action, we want to recap what took place. We didn't have a show last week because we were planning the big one-year anniversary party here at the Vegas Video Network. I will say that 2 weeks ago, Jacob and we previewed the Buffalo Bills playing the Cincinnati Bengals. Jacob liked the Bills minus the 3. Cincinnati won the game 23-20. Easy loser. I was on the total under 44. It fell 43. Easy winner. Jacob, who do you like this week? Monday Night Football. The Jets hosting the Dolphins. The Jets are favored by 7.5. The total is 43.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. First off, I've never been called easy before, but thank you, big fella. I appreciate that a lot. On that game, I'm going to have to take the Jets at home. I think that Rex Ryan gets that defense fired up, and they get back to Jets football.
Jacob, what's going on? Let's bring Jacob back because, you know, you were singing a song. You were dancing in the studio every week. 4 consecutive winners, but lately, my friend, 3 consecutive losses.
Yep.
What gives?
Well, you know, I think the Tom Petty lyrics come to my head. Even the losers get lucky sometimes. so there you go. I've been on a bad snot here. Time to get off of it.
We'll be checking back with Jacob a little bit later on. And again, remember to recap his play. He's going with the Jets at home, minus the 7.5. Before we get to my play, let's take a look at how these two teams match up with one another. First of all, the Miami Dolphins. Now, up to this point, they've been perfect. 0-4. The Dolphins coming off a bye week. They're on the road taking on the Jets, and they've had limited success the last 4 years on the road beating the Jets. Now, Miami, Chad Henne is out. Matt Moore is in as the starting quarterback. Now, he does have some experience. He did quarterback the Carolina Panthers, although I question if they're still considered a professional football team. But regardless, they are in the National Football League, and Matt Moore is somewhat of a gunslinger. The problem with the Dolphins, it's only a 15-minute show. There are many, many problems with the Dolphins. I'm going to talk about their pass defense. They're 30th in all of football, giving up over 307 yards per game in the air. Let's talk now about the New York Jets. They do have home field. They've won 2, they've lost 3, but they started out 2-0, so they're like my friend Jacob Cannon. They've lost 3 straight games. I just can't let it go. The Jets are 2-3. This is a team that made it to the AFC Conference Championship game the last 2 years, just 1 game away from being in the Super Bowl. Rex Ryan, I love the coach. I like the fact that in the past this team has been able to run, they've been able to pass, they play very good defense, but it's somewhat of an anomaly because this year it is not happening for the Jets. 3 consecutive losses. The problem, one main problem has been their running game. Sean Green is a stud from the University of Iowa. Great year a year ago, but this year the Jets are 31st in all of football, only 32 teams. 31st in the league running the ball, 76 yards per game as a team. I have a play Monday night, the Jets hosting the Dolphins. My money is on Miami plus the 7.5 points. Now, I tend to be a dog player, where my friend Jacob tends to be just a dog. I say that because Jacob is very, very loyal. Now, we're going to...
I am loyal, and like a dog, I'm about to take a bite out of you.
Easy now, big dog. Before we get to Let's Bet answers your questions, we're going to take a station ID break. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Chris Phillips from Talk Tales, and you're watching the Vegas Video Network. And if you stop by the studio, our producer Scott's going to buy everybody a drink.
Welcome back to Let's Bet. I'm your host, Scott Pritchard, alongside our co-host, Jacob Cannon, and our executive producer, Scott Whitney. Scott Whitney, have you sobered up from last weekend's big party?
Please don't ask me any questions. I'm busy.
I see that. He's very professional. No one was having more fun than Jacob Cannon, except the executive producer, Scott Whitney, did the live stream and then let loose, and understandably so. I'm starting to think that maybe Jacob and I are driving him to drink. It's time now for Let's Bet Answers Your Questions. Now, this is where we take comments, questions off the listener line, 866-966-4599, or from you emailing us at letsbet@vegasvideonetwork.com. Jacob, what do we have?
One more thing I'll say about the party, just really quick. I think we had 3 B's there: beer, booze, and broads. But let's go back to the questions here. First is from Cedric in North Carolina, and he wants to know, despite the NFL lockout, are most tickets cashing over in the NFL despite lack of practice?
Well, we'll get back to the question, but I have to address the BBB. Did you say broads, beer, and what else?
Broads, beer, and booze.
BBB. Based on what you just said, I'm concerned about the BBB, Better Business Bureau, coming to the studio and tossing you on your tail. The question is, up to this point, because of the lockout, have we seen more games go over or under? Especially the first 3 weeks of the season. For the most part, we played 5 games or 5 weeks of pro football at this point, and early on, just a barrage of the games are going over the posted totals. And I think that had to do with the fact that the offenses were ahead of the defenses. But like anything else, it tends to balance itself out as time progresses. The odds makers make adjustments quickly, week in, week out. So you're starting to see, well, for instance, the New England Patriots. Gosh, it's been the case now for the past 2 years. They've been an outstanding over. If you just blindly bet the Patriots to go over, you'd certainly be in the money. But now every game, it seems, they're in the 50s as far as the posted total. So yes, to answer the question, there has been more overs than unders, but it's starting to balance itself out. Next.
Great answer. The second one here is from Ted, and he wants to know, are you placing any bets in baseball now that we're in the playoffs? And if so, where are you looking for an advantage?
I really feel this late date, the fact that we're down to the National League Championship Series, the American League Championship Series, we have 4 teams left. I went on record in April as saying the 2 best teams in baseball, the Phillies and the Red Sox. Red Sox got ousted the last day of the season, and the Philadelphia Phillies got ousted in Game 7 against the St. Louis Cardinals. But please understand, I said with the Red Sox and the Phillies might be the best 2 teams in baseball, but you certainly couldn't bet them because there was no value. Now, as far as the Cardinals playing the Brewers, we're live here Friday morning at Let's Bet, Vegas Video Network. The Cardinals are tied 2 games each right now. And, of course, the Tigers are down to the Texas Rangers 3 games to 2. So as far as I like to look at the first 5 innings of a game, it really depends on the price. I can make an argument for any team, any bet. I'm not loyal or emotionally attached to any one team. It's really about value and the total. So I don't find a lot of value this late. There are no secrets. Instead of having 10 to 15 games per day, 3 to 4 different ways to bet each game, you're basically talking about 1 game a day. There are no secrets. The idea is to be on the move early or against it late, so you really have to, it ties up a lot of time to pinpoint, find value on one specific game. I've talked before that 2 things have to happen in order for me to step out and make a bet. 1, I have to have a strong opinion, and 2, I have to get the best of it. One without the other is simply a no bet.
Gotcha, big guy. Now, I'm going to give it up a follow-up for the last question here. Based upon that, who do you think is the value pick to win the World Series?
Well, I really think the fact that the National League has the home field advantage, that means 4 of the 7 games will be at the National League Park. I think the inside track would certainly go to the Milwaukee Brewers. Right now, it's a coin toss between the Brewers and the Cardinals. I mean, it's 2-2, so it's the best 2 out of 3 series. 2 of those 3 games will be in Milwaukee. So let's say that the Brewers I'm going to go with the National League team. And that has to do with the fact that they'll be at home and they'll be a small favorite, even though obviously the Tigers are rock solid. The Texas Rangers, they got there a year ago before losing to the San Francisco Giants. So I'm big. People oftentimes will ask me, Scott, who's your favorite team? 2 things. One, it's the team I have money on. And the second thing I look for, home, H-O-M-E. I love the home team. But having said that, I mean, it's annoying to think that the baseball season is 6 months long, 2,400 games. And the home field is decided based on an exhibition game in July, the All-Star game. It's just a joke to me. But having said that, let me know what the rules are, let me know what the parameters are, and I'll adjust accordingly.
I want to come back to you for one more quick question. I hate to interrupt. Do you think home field advantage is really advantage? Because we didn't see that in the NBA playoffs, if you remember that. But do you think home field advantage is really an advantage in the playoffs when you're talking about baseball?
In basketball, home field advantage is huge. Out of 30-some teams in pro basketball, look at the records. Only 5 teams roughly have a road winning record. Now, having said that, yes, the road team in the NBA Finals won the NBA championship, but it's rare. It's few and far between. The idea is, though, too, they screw up the format. In the NBA Finals, it's a 2-3-2 format. Now, in baseball, football, big home field advantage. You can imagine if you're the Detroit Lions playing on carpet in a dome, but let's say you have to go to Green Bay, Lambeau Field, frozen tundra, outside, cold, adverse weather and wind, there's a huge, huge advantage there. Now in baseball, so there's a big advantage in basketball, home court, big advantage in football, home field. But in baseball, great pitching trumps everything. So as far as, yes, you'll have your home park tailor-made to your strengths of a baseball team. For instance, like the Phillies, for instance, they always stack their lineup with stud power left-handed batters because they have the short porch in right field. But again, good pitching stops good hitting sometimes. So I would rather go with a great pitching staff more than I would home field. So home field's important, but it's less important in baseball than any other sport, in my opinion.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Thanks.
Jacob, do you have any final comments?
Final comments is this. If you guys watched the live stream last Friday, you understand there's a chance to win a Roku player. Today's the last day of the contest. And one of you people out there, I'm not going to say male or female, but one of you people have a ticket for the over, and you're one over. Not cashing that ticket.
Jacob Cannon, great to have you with us once again. For executive producer Scott Whitney, Jacob Cannon, I'm Scott Pritchard. Great to have you with us. We're live every Friday morning, 11 o'clock Las Vegas time. Catch all the great shows on Vegas Video Network. 6 o'clock Las Vegas time to 10 o'clock every Friday night, KSHP Radio, that's AM 1400. My name is Scott Pritchard. Check us out. Email us at letsbet@vegasvideonetwork.com. That's vegasvideonetwork.com. Keep those calls, comments, questions, remarks coming. 866-966-4599. That's 866-966-4599. My website is pritchardspicks.com. That's pritchardspicks.com. For executive producer Scott Whitney and co-host Jacob Cannon, I'm Scott Pritchard. Have a great weekend.